started, because we have a lot to go through. We didn't make it through this in time during our rehearsal, so let's see how this goes. How's everybody doing? Is everybody having a good Sakura-Con? Good, awesome. So, we made it to 10 years for the R Anime Awards, so how many people have been attended this panel or been a part of the awards in previous years? Awesome. But yeah, it's basically just an award show. On Reddit, we join a Discord server and we talk about anime for 5 months. So this year, we're going to talk about the 2025 winners and awards, and also I'll start with a bit of history about the awards, because we did lap Crunchyroll to 10 years, because they just announced their 10th anniversary ones. We finished ours, so. Anyways, my name is thyeggman, or Jacob. I've been a part of the awards for 7 years, once as a host, and 6 years as a juror, including this year.
Hey y'all, my name is Will, or William, and this is my first year participating, so very cool.
My name is Stein. I have been doing the awards for 3 years, and this is my 3rd year on the panel as well.
Yeah, and both of these guys started out there, and so you can join, and we'll tell you a little bit about how you can do that at the end. But as I said, this is the 10th year of the R Anime Awards, which is kind of incredible for a community-run project. So let's just start from the beginning. The Crunchyroll Awards. The R Anime Awards started as a result of the Crunchyroll Awards in 2016. 2016 was notorious in the Crunchyroll Awards for being the Yuri on Ice Awards. I think that was partially a symptom of it just being a new awards show and Yuri on Ice being the new hype thing, and they hadn't quite figured out their format. So basically, a bunch of people on the Reddit got together and wrote a 66-page Word document that they posted, and they're like, here's our winners. And they also came up with the format that's still used today, which is to split every award between a jury vote and a public vote. So we are the jury, we basically vote on things, and then the public is just a popular vote. And also the nominees for every category are split half and half. If you wanted to join the awards back in 2016, the application had like dozens of questions. It's a lot easier nowadays, but anyways, that was 2016. So 2017 comes along, we have a website for the first time, and we kind of organize a bit better, so it's not just a group of people. There's hosts, which kind of organize and guide discussion. There's jurors, who do the discussion themselves, and then the subreddit moderators, who are just there to support the community project, basically. On the bottom of the timeline for each of these pages, you'll see the winners for every year as we go along. In 2017, we also added the comedic and dramatic character split, and we added the thriller genre. 2018 is a year that was infamous for, I remember it mostly because of Antarctica. Antarctica was, somebody wrote a long document about why Antarctica, the country, or the continent, should be eligible for Best Antagonist of 2018. It was not made eligible, unfortunately, but Sora Yori did win the public vote that year. And, well, this is your favorite anime, right?
This is true. I found out about it from these results, so it's very very cool. I wish Antarctica had made it an antagonist. That would have been incredible.
Yeah. The first live stream happened this year, and it was actually live. We had guests call in when they were supposed to, and it went like 2 hours over or something like that. It was definitely an experience, a big learning experience, and one of our guests was Lily Pichu, who this year voiced the main character of Witch Watch, so that's kind of a cool connection there. 2019, that was my first year in the awards. The kind of thing that I'm infamous for is this show called Space Battleship Yamato 2202, which I got nominated in cast. Basically how we do this is like everybody mentions a bunch of shows that they think would be a good candidate for this category. I mentioned it in cast, and I told everybody quite early on in the process, like, hey, make sure you watch this show. And nobody watched it except for one other person. And so there's this copy pasta that kind of became about me and how Space Battleship Yamato got nominated. It's kind of silly. But also, one of the big things that the awards is infamous for, I would say, is the jury selecting Hugto Precure as the winner of the jury award that year. It definitely shocked a lot of people, but I really just enjoy that, especially the dichotomy between the jury and the public here with Attack on Titan winning public and the jury selecting Hakuto Precure. It just shows that like there's all sorts of people who watch anime and we can appreciate all sorts of different stuff. We also tested out several different test categories, none of which are around today, but they kind of helped us explore what we might do in the future. By 2020, the kind of foundations of the award have started to simplify, so there's not any like groundbreaking changes that are happening from this point on. So we had our first panel for the 2020 awards, and that was at Anime NYC, and it's actually largely what my original presentation was based on, which is transformed over the years. Like this is a brand new segment, obviously. We did a big category rename in 2021, and most of these categories still exist today, except for antagonist, which we killed. So Antarctica was not allowed to be an antagonist, and then we just said there's no antagonist, there's just characters.
What did Antarctica die for?
Yeah. We got our first video mention, or video thank you from Kevin Penkin that year. Kevin Penkin's a great composer, that's really cool. And we had a couple more voice actors, Sean Shiplock and Megan Shipman. Sean Shiplock you might know as Subaru from ReZero, and Megan Shipman has done Sasha Blouse from Attack on Titan, Anya Forger from Spy Family, and Momo Soma from Fruits Basket. 2022 comes along. That's the first Sakura-Con panel, and that was a really big thing because we've kind of brought people into the awards from that over the years, which is always great. And then Stein in 2023, that was your first awards year.
Yeah, so for me it was an interesting experience because obviously, like Eggman said, I started by watching the panel the year prior, like all of you are now. And to me, I saw what the awards were and kind of made the choice that I thought I could do just as well, if not better. My hubris.
It's very much a legacy of the awards. Like, oh, Reddit's like, we can do better than Crunchyroll, and now.
It was an interesting experience for sure. With awards as a process, you get to dive into shows a lot more than you would with regular discussion. You have to discuss things like what exactly makes the characters good, what exactly makes the plot lines worth watching. And then for me, I took up a production role, which we will talk about later, even though I knew nothing about how production values work. So we'll get into that.
Yeah, definitely. 2024, I think the winners very much exemplify what kind of consumed the anime community that year, with Frieren just being one of the most beloved fantasy shows of all time, and then with the jury selecting Dungeon Meshi, they kind of like swapped winning a bunch of awards that year. And then we also introduced open categories and open jurors. So when you joined the awards previously, it would be like, oh, you have to pick which ones you want and you get put into categories. But now you can join the awards and you just get put in the server and you can pick any categories you want and be able to eventually narrow it down to a few that you want to focus on. But it makes it a lot more like a choose your own adventure. And Will, of course, you started this year, and yeah, how was your first awards year?
Yeah, 2025 was a very fun year of awards, to be honest. There's a lot of really interesting anime, and I think personally, I actually did not watch that much from the year 2025. So like, just getting to dive into a bunch of shows that other people were passionate about and I hadn't yet seen, so I get to see it for the first time and get to talk about it and analyze it. It's very, very fun. And I'm sure some of you guys here are like, the awards this year, I don't like the results that much. And that was kind of my mindset going into it as well. I was like, I looked at the past year's results and was like, I'm not sure how much I agreed with them. But now that I know the process a bit more, I have a lot of appreciation for what the awards does. So it's been a great time.
So that brings us to now. A little bit of housekeeping before we dive into the winners and results from this year. In terms of eligibility, so if there's ever 2 seasons released in one year, like Umumusume from this year, we combine those into one entry. If a show has an OVA released that is kind of like a prequel to the main thing, like which from Mercury did a couple years ago. We combined those as well. Although nowadays we're getting mostly like hour-long first episodes instead of separate OVAs, so it's just kind of shifting the industry. It's kind of interesting. If a show crosses into the next year, like I think To Your Eternity just recently finished, or maybe it's going to finish in a few days, that one will be eligible the next year. If an entry gets subtitling in a year when it previously didn't have subtitles, it can become eligible. That's the middle one there, that's called Firecraft. And then if there's a show that only is available in the theater and isn't available, easily accessible to all the jurors so that they can watch it, we hold that off like Demon Slayer Infinity Castle was this year. So, with that out of the way, let's show you the OP for the awards. This is a really good one.
I'm delusional, and I like to think I'm better than everybody and seeing my own reflection in the mirror when I'm on some. Yeah, things are really quiet, I know. Thinking how did I get in this position? Selling my heart for free attention. Just another night, I'm not in rhythm. Yeah, things ain't working out, reroute, fill it out. So I called you up to tell you it was better than heaven, better than heaven. A spiritual moment, intoxicating. I took the back way home to see ya. We spent a lot of time in euphoria, so take it away straight ahead, back to a place better than heaven. There must be a reason, I don't know. Thinking how did I get in this position? Selling my heart for free attention. Just another night, I'm not in rhythm. Just another night, just another night. So I called you up to tell you it was better than heaven. A spiritual moment, intoxicating. I took the back way home to see ya. We spent a lot of time in euphoria, so take it away straight ahead, back to a place better than heaven.
By our wonderful editor, Pockshop, who was on the panel last year. And so with that, let's dive into the first category, which is yours, Stein, drama. How did drama go this year?
So drama is a good example of something we were talking about before for me, where I didn't actually start the year with drama. I jumped into drama a month after the awards started through the open category program, after deciding with my current 5 categories, drama over there looked like it had pretty nice shows, and I wanted in on that. And it was worth it. Drama was a very interesting category this year, both medalist and org for our jury and public winners, very deserving of their spots on the list, with honorable mentions to all of our other nominees. Medalist being a series about growth and interpersonal relationships, succeeding where you have maybe thought you have failed before. It's an incredible story about what it means to grow as a person. And I think it does a very good job of encapsulating what it means to be a drama series. To me, drama is a series that focuses mostly on character growth, on character relations, on how the characters interact with the world. It is mostly about characters. And that holds true for every show on this list, as well as the shows that didn't make it. Most shows in the nominee slots have somebody backing them in the jury. This is true for just about every show that makes it in. My personal pick would have been My Melody and Chromie, a criminally underwatched show this year. based around Sanrio characters, Hello Kitty, the franchise.
Whoops.
But it was made in stop motion, which was a major part of what really drew me into the show. And I stayed for all of the development between all the characters and seeing the growth between the titular My Melody and Kuromi, as well as plenty of action scenes that I was not quite expecting. The last thing I want to talk about is Orb, our public winner. Very popular show this year. I'm sure many of you in the audience had a great time watching this series, and if you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend it. Orb is another character-driven series, but more in the sense that it is showing off what it means to be curious in the face of government influence. And that's kind of most of what I'll say about it. If you haven't seen any of these shows, I highly recommend you go check them out.
It's just a travesty that you didn't select Apocalypse Hotel. That would have been my personal pick. It was
a close competition. They were neck and neck.
Don't mean to spoil anybody, but unfortunately Apocalypse Hotel didn't win anything this year, so. But with that, let's go on to Slice of Life. Well, this is your first category we're going to talk about. How did it go?
Yeah, so Slice of Life, incredibly stacked category this year. I mentioned earlier that I didn't really watch that much in 2025. Basically, all of what I did watch was in the Slice of Life category, and this list of shows was incredibly hard to decide between. There were so many good shows that I really quite enjoyed. And that was also true of the jury. I mean, every single one of these shows, with the exception of our 10th place, had someone like really pushing for it, someone quite passionate about it to be even first place. Even Wonderful Precure, who are one of our Slice of Life juries here, was the pusher for. And before you knock Precure, I'm sure plenty of you have not seen it and are wondering why it ends up here. It is a kid show, but like it truly does have a lot to offer in terms of powerful storytelling. So. Again, I really did not have any qualms with any of our entries, but definitely deserving winners in our top ones in jury and in public, with Sora Your Utility being our jury winner. I think this is one of the more underwatched series among our Slice of Life entries, if you look at, for example, my anime list's popularity, but it is truly a powerful show. One thing that's worth mentioning with our categories is that they are best in the category, meaning what is the best show among things that are eligible for this category, not what is the best at Slice of Life, for example, in our Slice of Life category. And Sora Your Utility is a fantastic Slice of Life. It has great pacing, great comedy, the main characters are fun, and it's very relaxed. But what really elevated the show, and I think what a lot of people really enjoyed about it, was its powerful storytelling about the main character Ninami and her learning through golf what it means to have a passion and find a purpose in life, and how it doesn't necessarily have to be something profound, but it could just be something as simple as I enjoy playing golf with my friends. It's a very meaningful story, and it's backed by some amazing animation, so it's definitely worth checking out, especially since I think it was quite underwatched. Meanwhile, with the public winner, Murray Rocks, I was really glad to see that it got nominated by public. Kind of shocked at how low it placed in the jury. I think a lot of jurors were mixed on how much the education about minerals and stuff was important to them, whether they enjoyed that part or not. But if you do enjoy that kind of thing, it is a fantastically educational series. It really makes you care about minerals, and it's backed by just truly some of the most stunning artwork and animation from even a bunch of our other entries in other categories as well. So really, really great category this year, and love seeing all of these entries.
Yeah, if anybody was at the AMV contest earlier, the last one shown was a Rory Rocks focused AMV, so you probably saw a lot of it. Okay, let's head on to suspense. We have some pretty heavy shows here on the suspense list, Stein.
So suspense is one of my forever categories. huge suspense fan, always have been, always will be. This is one of the categories I joined when I first became a juror. And this year proved to be the strongest year for suspense I have ever seen. Truly a stacked category. Every single one of the shows in our nominee slots entirely deserving of a spot on the list. And one could easily argue for top spot for any of the top 5 of the jury picks. And some even argued for the rest of the nominees as well. So it was a fight that I have not seen come to suspense previously. Takapi's Original Sin, I'm sure everybody that has seen that show will agree that though it has very heavy content, it does an excellent job of not shying away from what it's trying to say and how it portrays what it means to grow up abused. If you haven't seen it, I won't spoil too much, but I highly recommend you go check it out. I will give a warning, there is very heavy content. Takapi's Original Sin was a fantastic example of what cinematography can do for a show. And that is a common theme for many of the genre categories, in which that through production values like cinematography, like background art, and character design, all of these things can truly bring a show from good to superb. And but one of the other shows I want to talk about briefly is The Summer Hikaru Died. We have a clip here that we will be showing later.
It's in cinematography?
That's right.
Thanks.
We'll be showing that in a minute. But the fact that we can talk at length about things like cinematography and art direction, character values for suspense, which has historically been a relatively underlooked category, really shows that this year was the year to be watching.
We didn't talk a bunch about Apothecary Diaries, but spoiler, it will be in several of our upcoming categories.
We'll be talking about that more. It'll come back.
So that's the last of our genre categories. So next we're going to go into some of our production categories. First of which is character design, which I participated in this year. We have our jury winner as Milky Subway and our public winner as Gachiakuta. I think character design is also one of my categories that I did as my very first year of the awards, and I knew nothing about it coming into it, and so just getting to learn about how the language of characters works and the silhouettes and the outfit design and how the characters emote. It's just a super fun process, and it's actually become one of the main reasons that I pick anime that I like. Like City of the Animation got second place here, and it's just because of the absurdly good job that Kyoto Animation did in their editing. But I have a few screens to share with some of our top picks this year. So this is Milky Subway. What was really impressive about this show was that it's a show that's on YouTube, 3-minute episodes. There's only 12 episodes. I highly recommend going and watching it. Totally worth your time. But the amount of character development that they did through the character designs alone is really what made it the jury winner this year. In the upper right there, we also have Hydro-kun, which is this robot, but it has this case that looks like an old CRT monitor. It's very evocative of that old aesthetic that they're going for. The public winner was Gachiakuta, which has some really crazy designs. There's all sorts of different body shapes and hairstyles. One of the elements that I really picked out from this is that it's a shonen show with a lot of angry characters in it. You'd expect spiky things, think your Yama Yugi, but you can see that the hair for some of these characters rounded on the ends. It's a very interesting choice, but I just think that it's cool to think about and why and discuss why that choice was made. There's also the vital instruments that they have. You can tell the character in the bottom left there, her glasses. Those are her vital instrument. It's a big part of her character design. Last show that I wanted to talk about is Gundam G-Quux. This is a show that is an alternate history of the 1-year war in the Gundam timeline. And so it was really interesting to see how they adapted these characters that are from a show from the 70s, which are kind of low fidelity and maybe you didn't even see the details in them early, and how they adapted them for a modern show with a lot of really cool designs. And I would be remiss to talk about Gundam if I weren't also to talk about the mecha designs. We have on the three on the left there are the three of the designs of the show, and the one second from the right is the G Fred, and the one on the far right you probably recognize as Ava Unit 01. And that's because Hideaki Anno, who you know from Evangelion, worked on this show, and so you can see his fingerprints all over it, and it's kind of fun to try to pick out where those appear, and the mecha designs were definitely one of them. Next up we have cinematography, which you alluded to earlier, Stein.
Yes, so cinematography, like I mentioned before, is the production category that I joined in my first year as a juror. I knew nothing about it going in. And I think that if you were to ever join something like the awards process, I think that is vital to growth as an anime watcher. It forces you to discuss with your fellow jurors things that maybe you've never thought about. Cinematography is mostly focused around the action of the screen. So things like where the camera is shooting from, what kind of lens they're utilizing. Is the camera moving around with the action, or is it staying still? What kind of transitions are they using? Are they using shadows effectively to portray what they want to say? Are they using lighting effectively? Things like that absolutely enhance whatever it is you are watching on the screen. The summer Hikaru died, as I mentioned before, did a fantastic job at utilizing additional imagery, using cutaways of the camera to enhance what was being talked about and how the characters are feeling. I have an excellent clip for us right here.
Let's take a look.
この前もお母さんとお父さん喧嘩しとったやないの。みんな心配しとったで、あんな夜中にな。よし君も大変やったろ。困ったことあれば頼ってええんやからね。そういえば。
As you've all just seen, the camera was jumping around quite a bit in that scene, and not to give too much away for the show itself, Yoshiki, the boy in that clip, has been having a lot of trouble with his childhood friend. And at this point in the series, he is incredibly uneasy, losing focus a lot, doesn't know where he wants to go with things. And this scene displays that proudly. The camera never focuses in one spot, the sound cuts in and out, you're hearing the convenience store music, you're hearing the blurring of the old lady's rambling. It does a fantastic job of showing that Yoshiki is not in a good spot right now. And scenes like that really enhance what you're getting out of the series, rather than just having the camera set on Yoshiki and the old lady as she's talking to him with no motion whatsoever. It would create a completely different scene. And that is kind of what we look for when it comes to cinematography. Takapi's Original Sin, as I mentioned before in Suspense, also fantastic at moving the camera around to do things like make the characters feel a little more inhuman, make the actions feel distant from the characters, giving us kind of a feel of what childhood is like, while also giving us a feel of what the characters are going through at the same time. Cinematography is a fantastic subject. If you haven't ever done any research or thought into it as a production category, I would highly recommend giving it a try. Maybe look up some stuff. There are fantastic videos online. We'll move on from here with another production category, opening, and I'll turn it back over to these two.
Yeah, we have opening here. Opening is always a very popular category because obviously it's the first thing you see when you watch a show and it kind of sets the tone. So yeah, what were your kind of expectations coming into this for your first year, Will?
Yeah, so this is my first year, and I think when I was looking on this category in the past year, and I think public is inclined to do this as well, is that the thing that I get a lot out of from the opening is the music, right? The music is the standout is a standout feature of it. But as this is a production category specifically here, what we're trying to analyze on the jury is very much how does this opening animation really display its strengths and help open for the series it's opening for. So we really had a lot of strong entries in opening this year. The same was true last year when I was sitting in the audience watching the presentation from last year, and it was definitely a joy to be part of this. With our winner in particular, Watch Me from Witch Watch, being an absolute standout. Megumi Ishitani, the director for this opening, also directed the opening that won last year, the One Piece opening, Us, and yeah.
We have a little. No, I didn't mean for the audio to play, but we can listen to it, sure. But yeah, this is just a little clip of the beginning of the OP. It shows the kind of title screen, and a lot of OPs use the title screen as just kind of like this dead space where you're just looking at the name of the anime. And both in Us from last year and Witch Watch, Megumi Ishitani does this like really awesome thing where she just like shows the title of the show, but like it's never static, and it's a very cool technique, and I really want more shows to do that. Just give me more Megumi Ishitani OPs, to be honest. On the song thing from earlier, I think that if I were to pick only one song, it would be Mirage. I love Creepy Nuts. I should not say that. Creepy Nuts is the band who did the song for Mirage, and I think it is very good.
It's I don't know if any of you guys watched the live stream. We did a special category which is juror only, called the Any Song category, and Mirage plays very well. And I think it's a fantastic song as well, though my money is on Kaseijin or Martian from Shoshimi, which was in second place here.
Yeah. So I only did OP, but Will did both, and Stein just did ED, so yeah, why don't you take us through how EP went?
So, ending song, as I'm sure a lot of you are already aware, is a completely different feeling normally from what an opening offers. It is usually meant to draw us to the conclusion of the episode, to slow us down or to get us prepared for whatever happened in the series. The endings from this year were very diverse, I would say. My personal favorite being Anataka wa Kaibutsu from Hikaru Died again. But Contrast, being our jury winner, was very deserved as well.
Yeah, Contrast was my personal favorite ending, so obviously happy to see it win. And it's just, it's this beautiful end to each episode where the second arc of Blue Box is very much about the secondary character, Hina, and her love story. And so we get at the end of every episode this, beautiful animation that focuses around Hina and her feelings of love and that, how it pushes her forward in her own life. It's a fantastic animation with, showing off Hina's dancing, so there's some beautiful dancing scenes as well. And I mean, it just looks stunning. You can even see from just this screenshot. Great stuff from our winners. And on the note of I'm all about the perception of endings and openings being focused around any songs from public perception. I think that's part of the reason why we got, for example, Iris Out and Jane Doe as our public winners for opening and ending. Whereas if you look at the animation, they're a little bit on the simpler side because they're meant to integrate with the movie themselves.
Well, I don't remember any animation for the Chainsaw Man ending. What's up with that?
Ah, yes. So Jane Doe, if you have not seen Chainsaw Man Reze or you don't remember, plays over a black screen with scrolling credits. So not much for us to say on the production front
To
there.
be fair, it bubbles a little bit.
Okay, yes, there are some bubbles.
Bubbles,
Yep,
yes.
that's all we can say about the production there.
I really appreciate that you nominated I as well, because it's such it summarizes all of the series and like all the different endings and kind of takes you through the whole history of My Hero Academia, which I really liked. I managed to make it through season 4 and 5, and so anyways.
I was an interesting one for me because I actually stopped My Hero a long time ago and never quite got back into it, but seeing a celebration of what a series is and has been, especially for a final season, always tugs at my heartstrings a little bit because you get to see just how far all the characters have come. And for I specifically, it carries Deku's path specifically. If you've seen the ending song, all the scenes focus on Deku's placement in whatever story arc that he was currently in. None of it shows where any of the other characters were, and it all takes place inside of his notebook, which, if you know My Hero Academia, he would have been cataloging his adventure in that notebook. So it's very emblematic of Deku as a character and My Hero as a series.
With that wraps up our production categories, so we have a few character categories to go through. In the past, I've done a category that we've had called cast, but this year I decided to go with some individual character categories. I did lead and supporting, so we're going to do lead character first. Two shows we've already seen on this list, Summer Hikaru Died and Apothecary Diaries. For Yoshiki, obviously we've already talked about how the cinematography kind of enhances the character, but it also does a great job of kind of showing, just to kind of give a premise of Summer Hikaru Died. Basically, Yoshiki discovers that his friend Hikaru has been taken over by an alien entity, and he has to face that he had feelings for Hikaru, and it's a very strange thing because he's like, well, I know that this isn't Hikaru, but it acts and it talks like Hikaru, but it's also this alien thing that might be hurting the people around me, and how do I react to that? It's a super interesting character to dive into. Mao Mao from the Apothecary Diaries, obviously like a beloved character, like kind of the whole reason that show works, and it wouldn't be the same without her. My personal favorite character of the year was Yachio. I really loved how the show kind of built her up throughout the whole series. Like, it's very easy because she's a robot, and it's like, oh, robots feeling human emotions. That's been done for decades. But I think it does a really great job of that. And I do have a clip from Yachio just to kind of give you the vibe for character if you haven't watched Apocalypse Hotel, so let's check it out.
シャンプーハットなしシャンプーハットなしシャンプーハットなしなしなしなしなしなし
Yeah, she's lovely. One thing you also notice, if you do decide to pick up Apocalypse Hotel, the title of each episode is named after the 10 commandments of the hotel. There are 12 episodes. What did those last two do? So just check out the show. Anyways, let's go into supporting character, and we have a new show appearing on our list here, which is Sanda. The winner for the jury was Shiori Fuyumura, who encompasses a lot of the themes of Sanda. So Sanda is a show where basically children are cloistered and protected because obviously there's not enough children in the world, they need more people. And so they basically are forced to stay in the school. They're not allowed to go to sleep because going to sleep could cause puberty. And so anyways, Fuyumura is friends with this girl named Ono, who she later realizes that she had feelings for, but she had disappeared. And so Fuyumura basically learns of this this legend about Santa, and her classmate Sanda is like the inheritor of that legend, and he becomes Santa when he wears red, essentially. But Fuyumura has to deal with a lot of things that are kind of quintessential to growing up. Like, she's a very androgynous character, and she's like, well, I'm not beautiful like Ono. And she has to kind of like ask questions about who she is, and like what her growing love for Ono really means. But yeah, it's a really interesting show. Our public winner is Roran or Lolan. I don't know how the English form is really pronounced, but from Apothecary Diaries. Not going to talk a ton about her character because it's extremely spoilery, but if you've watched the second season, you know that there is something going on there. Really great story, and kind of the culmination of an arc that began much earlier in the series. So next is one of my favorite categories of the awards, actually now 2 categories, because we split it this year, but it's MV, or music video, and short film. And this is a category that not a lot of other awards have, and so it's very interesting to kind of dig through all these. And Will, you were on this category with me. How do you think it went?
Yeah, something that's worth noting is that this is actually the first year we have a dedicated music video category, which is really interesting. Previously, music videos were combined with the other category called short films, which we'll show right after this. And that made for some really tough decision making on how to balance short films, which generally tended to be these sort of artistic projects, more like short, self-contained stories that had, sometimes had voice acting, sometimes didn't, but weren't really centered around like music per se. And then these MVs, which were usually music that was created first and then an animation created over it. So it was really nice to have those separated this year because we can now judge them sort of separately for what they do well in their own respects. And that made for a very interesting music video category this year, where the winner for our jury was this sort of underwatched, last minute actually contender that popped up on our radar out of nowhere called On Being. Eggman, I know you spent a lot of time watching and thinking about On Being, so feel free to tell us about that.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a second. Actually, let's just watch the beginning little bit of On Being. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but you can find it on YouTube, so let's check it out. If you were watching very closely, you might have been able to catch that there's some little text that flashes up on the screen, and Will had started to kind of translate some of those. And there's a section later that, frame by frame, they're putting one letter at a time on the screen, and there's 20 different frame by frame messages going on at the same time. And so I sat there with my notebook, frame by framing through this YouTube video, looking like an insane person and writing all this down, making a number key for each of the different messages, and I'm like, I'm going insane. But essentially, these are all messages, and so when this music video was created, it was created by Max Cooper, and the animator was Manosoko Hiroaka, who has actually done a couple of our winners in the previous years. But he asked, basically he just put on a form and said, what is something that you want to express that you can't in everyday life? And these are some of the answers that he got back. They're all pretty heavy messages, and they kind of vibe with the auditory texture of this music video that you just saw. It's similar to that the whole way through, where it just kind of washes over you, and it's this kind of rhythmless mishmash of sound.
As I mentioned before, the next category is the short films category, and this category had a lot of really powerful storytelling wrapped up in these short bits. It was definitely one of the most interesting categories for me to juror this year. All of these are, Firecraft is decently long, it's like 25 minutes, but every one of these other ones are fairly short. And so, how do you tell such a powerful short story in such a short time span? It very heavily emphasizes meticulous care and very close attention to detail in such a short time span, which all of our high placing entries did very well.
Yeah, and it's really cool this year also that we were able to recognize Bon. You might recognize the AnyTuber Gigak. This is his anime. It's kind of inspired by his own personal life experiences. And so to have that jump from like content creator to, I mean, I guess it's still content creation to make a short, but like it feels like the next step up, and it's really cool to see that. But we also have the jury winner, which is called First Line, and we have a clip that we'd like to share with you. The basic premise, we're going to show a little bit from the middle, but the basic premise is that there's this young animator who's given a very difficult assignment, and he is basically asking for advice from his senpai.
あ、先輩。
ああ、あの監督ならここは重さが欲しいんじゃないかな。
I would highly recommend going and seeking out that one. It's really great to watch. Yeah, some of the other ones that are really cool, Firecraft, that's the one I showed during the eligibility slide, and that one, it just got subtitles this year. It's like a 30-minute thing. And then Momoko's Poop shows a girl's poop literally come alive and beat her ex-boyfriend up, so that's fun.
That is a really fun one.
We will have, I do have 2 links at the very end with QR codes to playlists for both of the MVs and shorts if you want to check them out. So we'll show those later. But let's go on to movie.
Yeah, so movie was a category where the eligibility rule about it needing to be openly accessible to the jurors with English subtitles actually mattered quite a lot. In case you guys are not aware, there are a lot of high-profile movies that came out towards the end of 2025 that we weren't sure whether they were going to get a home release or not yet. For example, Demon Slayer Infinity Castle, there's the Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid movie, and then there was Chainsaw Man Reze, which just barely beat the buzzer on our eligibility deadline and managed to make it in for this year. So, you know, Chainsaw Man Reze, very well known by the public, and it's, you know, our placement of it does not indicate that the jury did not like it, but there was sort of a leaning towards the slower-paced, more introspective movies on the jury, you know, myself included, and so our winner ended up being The Colors Within, which was also an entry in the Slice of Life category, so it's nice to have overlap in both for me. And this is just a really meaningful movie that is very interesting in that it doesn't have as clear of a central narrative as other anime might. It wanders about and sort of generally explores the main 3 cast as they form a band together, and the movie ends with them doing a live performance. But it's, you know, through that exploration of the you know, their 3 lives and how they interact with the world, we get an exploration about themes like guilt and forgiveness, about religion, about friendship, and about, you know, life moving on. And it's a very you know, slow but powerful movie, and it's directed by Naoko Yamada, who's a sort of a fan favorite among those who know her. So yeah, wonderful film there. And I do want to shout out also our second place jury movie, which is called A Few Moments of Cheers, which I'm sure probably most of you, if not none of you, have, if not all of you, have not heard of this. It was a movie that only one of our jurors had seen before entering the awards this year, and so we all had to do catch up and watch it as well. But it's a fantastic movie about this young boy who loves creating music videos, who wants so desperately to create a music video for this musician who had quit music. And it's the story about that musician and how she gets back into music, and this boy discovering his limits with creation of music videos and how he learns to overcome them. So it's a very powerful story about the creative process, about passions, and it's definitely worth checking out, especially if you have not heard it.
Awesome. And that leaves us with just Anime of the Year. And Stein, you got kind of thrown into this last minute as well, didn't you?
I sure did. My year was very hectic. So Anime of the Year, I joined even later than drama. I joined Anime of the Year within the last month of awards, which means I did not take part in the nomination phase. I took part in the ranking phase only. It was an interesting experience, as I have never done Anime of the Year before, nor have I done any of the main categories before. So jumping straight into the category was it felt like a hurdle. It did. But one that I took in stride. And by that point, I had so many categories, I'd already pretty much watched everything. So I ended up being able to discuss shows in ways that I hadn't really considered before. And it really opened my eyes to the fact that for every category and for every year, every jury you see is going to be different. It's filled with different people, it's filled with different experiences, likes, dislikes. You're never going to get the same kind of people twice. And I think that makes it very easy to see that every show that gets nominated in any category, just because it makes first spot, just because it makes 10th spot, the fact that it got nominated at all shows that it was worth talking about and worth seeing, and somebody felt that it was worth being recognized. So just because you see a show in a 10th spot here doesn't make it a bad show. In fact, it still makes it a top of the year pick. So going into the public and jury winners, I want to express that I very much believe Dress Up Darling was deserving of Anime of the Year. It had very stiff competition, but when you compare the second season to the first season, there is so much more love about cosplay, about the characters, about the production values. Everything is boosted beyond what the first season had to offer. A good point I like to bring up is that the second season went into the shows that were internal to the universe. It showed us Coffin, the game that was a horror type RPG experience, and it showed us that gameplay as if we were able to play it ourselves. It showed us the spy comedy at the start that Maureen was overly excited about by showing us an entire episode of what that world had to offer. And not only did it show us in-universe stuff, we had so many cosplays in that series. You have to remember that we weren't just seeing main characters cosplay. We were seeing background characters cosplay, and in detail. Eggman actually went into this with character design. How many?
Over 150 new character designs just for the second season.
It was a very intensive project. And it shows. And it deserved the win for all of the effort it put in. Apothecary Diaries has been talked about all year. Everybody that has seen Apothecary Diaries loves it one way or another. So for it to win the public slot doesn't surprise me at all.
It's kind of good that it got its comeuppance in this season because it kind of got overshadowed by Free Reign in the first season.
It did, and it that shows quite well just how fickle the process can be. For the public vote, we get however many people from however many places that decide what they love that year, and Free Rent easily could have taken it over Apothecary Diaries or vice versa. Last year it was Dungeon Meshi, and it easily could have taken the public spot. Every year's going to be different. You don't know what you're going to get, and I think that's part of what makes the awards fun.
Cool. We have about 3 minutes, so talk to us after if you want to join the awards next year. I'll give you some information. But if anybody wants to hop up to the mic or just yell, don't have a huge room. So if anybody has any questions and would like to ask us, we're happy to answer them. And while you think of those, I will put up the playlists for the shorts and the MVs, and then also the awards website. We didn't cover everything here, so feel free to go check out the rest of the winners.
Feel free to ask questions. If you don't think your questions can get answered in time, we will hang out around outside of the panel room for a little bit and answer whatever leftover questions you may have. So, come at us.
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, I appreciate the work. You guys are all so well spoken. It feels like watching a YouTube video while I'm brushing my teeth.
Thank you.
Put it in front of me. I have no questions, but you guys do great work, and it's always fun to see what the recommendations you guys have. Because man, the anime seasons this year and last year, they're tight, man. There's so many good shows, and I just want to know what is the best stuff. And you guys just do great work every single year, so appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Did you ever consider adding a category for voice acting at all in the shows?
We do have a category for voice acting, just none of us were in it, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I
we
see.
only covered the categories that we were in.
Yes, there are plenty of categories, to be very clear, that were not in our presentation. We are only covering categories that we were actually jurors for. So for example, like in genre categories, we didn't cover like action, for example, or comedy. In production categories, we didn't cover stuff like background art, voice acting.
We did talk a little bit about voice acting in lead character and supporting character, because obviously the voice acting performance is a big part of how the character is, and I would say that Yoshiki, our winner, is a great example of voice acting here.
The website covers all of the nominations, 1 through 10, their placings with jury and public, as well as the website has little blurbs that all of the jurors came together and wrote about what makes each and every nomination worth looking at.
Makes sense.
Any other questions?
How do you determine what image to use, like for the show picture? 'Cause, like some of them felt like pretty some of the show, some of them felt pretty random. Like, that was pretty accurate, but like the Chainsaw Man one is just like the guy in front of the mirror.
So
It's a cool scene, but like feels like it's not really.
you make a good point. The way that we decided those is that when we decided on the top 10, we make a little, little depiction of every single one of our nominees, so that when you go into the actual voting for the top one, you can have a clear, nice visual representing what that series is about. And for each of the categories, we internally decided a theme for all of the images. So for example, in movie category, you point out that Chainsaw Man is just the dude, which is a random scene, to be very fair. But the theme of that was shots from behind. So every single one of the movies' screenshots were some sort of shot of a character from behind. So.
The supporting character had literally one character supporting another, for example.
Suspense had every shot be of a murder weapon being on screen.
And meanwhile, Slice of Life had everyone's sleeping. So yes.
I think that I don't want us to get kicked out. That's our time. But yeah, thank you so much for coming, and thank you for your questions. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you again next year.